What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Rax, and I am a variety live streamer, but today we're going to be checking out a new gamepad from Retrofighters. They actually reached out to me on Twitter. They asked me if I would be interested in checking out this controller, and every once in a while I like to do the occasional unboxing or check out, a different topic that I find is interesting enough to make a video on. So if that kind of content seems like your cup of tea, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Trying to make my way up to 5,000 subscribers, and every click of that button helps. So today we're going to be checking out the StrikerDC gamepad. I am really actually super excited to check this out because Sega Dreamcast is actually one of my favorite consoles. So we're going to take this controller, we're going to unbox it, we're going to see how it comes inside. I have not opened this at all yet. I have not checked it out at all. And before I get into this, I do want to say I have not been paid to review this controller. I have not been given a script or anything like that. Everything that you see today is my opinions and my opinions alone. So we're going to take this controller, we're going to unbox it, and we're going to compare it to an original Dreamcast controller, which I'm really excited because Dreamcast, like I said, this is actually one of my favorite consoles of all time. So let's get right into this. So the box is really actually super easy to open. It's only one of those slide it off the top kind of style boxes, and it wasn't taped shut or anything like that, which I find a little weird. But I mean, if it's shipping straight from them, you never know. You don't really need the thing to be boxed up and taped up and all that crazy stuff. So first things first, you got a piece of like packing paper, I guess, to keep it from getting scratched and stuff. Sorry, I burped. And it does come with a couple little freebies, which is dope. All right, so we got a Retrofighters keychain. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'll take some footage of that in a second. And it also comes with some stickers. They look like they're pretty high quality stickers, actually. They got little 8-bit characters on there. It's pretty cool. Nice little touch. It's always nice to get freebies when you get a freebie, I guess. I don't know. If you're paying for it, you're getting freebies. How about that? So it comes with a little info pamphlet and I don't know, it looks like maybe okay, yeah, basically just a little pamphlet of, their social media, about us, customer service, thank you, things of that nature. A little breakdown of the controller, which is pretty nice. It's high quality, They put some love and some effort into this. I like that. And they have a frequently asked questions pamphlet in here as well. So let's go over a couple of these things. Why does the analog stick feel like it has light resistance? It looks like they use a specific style of analog stick that they use in Switch and Android tablets. And it says, don't worry, there are no drift issues. So that's pretty cool. We're going to check that out ourselves anyway. And the rest of it is just kind of like, what kind of accessories are compatible with the DC, with the StrikerDC controller. And it looks like all first-party accessories are compatible, but some third-party accessories may not be compatible. So it's compatible with the VMUs, the vibration packs, the 4x memory, and a microphone. So if you have that game Seaman, you can play Seaman. This is one thing that I'm glad that they specified about. So how is the D-pad different? So the StrikerDC D-pad has been modified many times to get the right feel down. You have no problem performing your favorite moves in fighting games. So that is a big thing with the Dreamcast. If you're a Dreamcast fan, you're probably a big fighter fan as well. And they have some really, really good fighting games on there. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 being one of my favorites. If you can see, I've got Marvel vs. Capcom 1 on the arcade cabinet behind me. Big Marvel vs. Capcom fan. Unfortunately, I don't have it for the Dreamcast. It is rather hard to find, and it's rather expensive as well. Now, I know that you can go about burning games and stuff like that, but I've just never been about that. So once I get my hands on a copy, I'll pick it up. But I do have a lot of games that I'm going to throw at this bad boy, and we're going to go ahead and check this out. So when it comes to you, it does come in a plastic shell. And right out of the box, it does feel nice and hefty. I'm not going to say it feels heavy, but it feels nice. If you're familiar with Retrofighters, they are the company that did the Brawler 64 controller, and I believe they also did a NES controller before that. And I noticed that they actually did a Sega Saturn and Genesis controller with an analog stick, which I am very interested in checking out as well. But right out of the box, the analog stick feels really, really nice. It does feel really, really nice. I can't wait to start playing something with this. The 2 VMU spots, just like an original Dreamcast controller, if you guys can see that. And the D-pad does feel pretty good. It feels nice and solid. Doesn't feel too mushy. It doesn't feel like you can it does kind of feel like you can push it in the center. So we'll see how that is once we're starting to play with it though. But it could just be the fact that, you know, I'm playing with it without even having it plugged in. So the start button, nice and clicky. The left and right left and right trigger, sorry, and not even the triggers. This is the left and right bumpers. Pretty tactile, feels pretty nice. Now I do see they have a turbo button on the controller. So I'll see what kind of games I can throw a turbo button at. I don't really know what I would use for that necessarily. And then it has a clear button on the right-hand side. And yeah, right out of the box, the tension on the analog sticks feel really nice. One more thing I do want to mention before we head over to check out some gameplay is on the back of the controller, you can see here, it's almost similar to what they did with the original Dreamcast controller where the cable comes from the bottom, except for it looks like it actually is angled to where it is pointing forwards towards the console, which is a really nice touch. There's not anything that like holds the cable in there like the Dreamcast controller does, but since this is actually built to where it's actually pointed at the console, it actually has that original Dreamcast controller feel where it's coming out of the back of the controller like that, but it's also a new age, a new design. It just feels good. It looks nice. The cable is very, very high quality, it seems. It doesn't seem like it's going to be some cheapo, you know, something that's going to fray in like a month or something, but this definitely feels nice in quality. We'll check out the connector and see how that works as well. Because that's another thing with third-party controllers. Sometimes the connection into the console can be a little bit stiff. So let's check that out right now. All right, so I went and grabbed my Sega Dreamcast. I have the awesome 2K Sports Edition Sega Dreamcast. So we're gonna check out the connection real quick and see if it's nice and tight. Man, I need to give this guy a little clean. Yeah, all right, so it feels just like, actually it feels smoother than the original Dreamcast controller's connection. Matter of fact, let me go grab a actual original Dreamcast controller and we'll compare it 100% to it. All right, so this guy's a little dusty. He hasn't been getting enough love. So let's check out the original. Let's put that down just a little bit. Yeah, actually feels, yeah, it's a little bit smoother than an actual Sega Dream. And it feels like once it's in there, it kind of locks in there, which is really nice. It doesn't feel like it's just gonna pull right out of the console. So the connection, really, really nice, really solid. Yeah, feels good. So since we've got the original Dreamcast controller here, let's go ahead and compare the triggers. Now these feel very short and kind of squeaky at this point, but man, this thing is covered in dust. But yeah, it's very short travel on these compared to, I do like the feel, you hear that squeaking? I do like the feel of the Retrofighters controller for sure. It doesn't feel like I'm like hitting a wall like I am with the Sega Dreamcast controller, the original, but I don't know. You know what? Enough of this. Let's go check out some gameplay. Let's see how it works. All right, so the first game we're gonna throw at this bad boy is Sonic Adventure. Can't go wrong with Sonic Adventure. I mean, some people will probably tell you can go wrong, but as you can see right here, we do have the VMU being picked up, and it is registering that it is Sonic Adventure, and that's a good sign. That means our accessories are working. So let's go ahead and get into the game. All right, so I will say the analog stick does feel really, really nice and very accurate. Normally I would be having a problem playing this with my regular Dreamcast controller. The biggest gripe that I have with the original Dreamcast controllers is that when you have your Dreamcast controller for a while, I don't know if it was like this when it was brand new, but the top part of the analog stick would wiggle. It would like almost wiggle back and forth, and if you are a big Dreamcast fan, you know what I'm talking about. But essentially what I'm saying is the very top part of the analog stick that your thumb actually rests on will actually swivel from side to side. So it would make it kind of tough to, you know, keep your finger on the analog stick while you're playing your game. But with this, it doesn't feel like that. The buttons feel pretty good. I'm doing pretty bad just because there's a little bit of a delay between my software and the game that I'm actually seeing. So let me actually switch over to the gameplay. And if you guys are interested in how I'm capturing this, I am actually capturing this with a Dreamcast plugged into a Retrofighters, which you can also get from Castlemania Games, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they're still stocked up on those, but man, I'm doing terrible at this. But that's how you can go about capturing this. I have the Elgato HD60 Pro, so it does work with the output that the Retrofighters does natively support. So so far it feels pretty good. I do like the feel of it. It's been a while since I've played Sonic, so I'm, you know, again, doing pretty bad. But in terms of accuracy of the analog stick, it doesn't feel bad. It feels pretty good. And in terms of the buttons themselves, really, it's actually very responsive. They feel good. They don't feel mushy. They feel nice and, I don't know how to describe it, but they pop back up so nicely. It seems like the rubber membrane that they're using with this is pretty solid. Very nice feel to it. All right, so there's not much that I can really use the left bumper and the right bumper on this game with, or the triggers. So I do have a couple of other games that I'm going to toss at this. I picked out Sonic Adventure. I got Virtua Fighter 3. We got San Francisco Rush 2049, and then, you know, can't go wrong with Tony Hawk Pro Skater. We're going to check out the D-pad with that one. So let's go ahead and skip to another game. All right, so we're checking out San Francisco Rush 2049. And if you ever play San Francisco Rush and you're not playing the stunt tracks, man, I don't know what you're playing this game for. That's what this game was all about back in the day. But regardless, this is what we're testing out the pressure-sensitive triggers with. And let's go ahead and go nice and slow. Go full gas. And let's go one more time. Let's start from 0. All right, so this is barely touching. Starting to gain speed a little bit. Now let's go full speed. All right, so the pressure-sensitive triggers are really accurate, and they're actually really sensitive. So you don't even have to push it too hard to even start going. Like, I'm talking about as soon as you even start pushing down on the gas trigger, it's going, man. Like, it doesn't feel like it's fighting you. It's super, super responsive. So let's see. I'm so lightly touching this. All right, a little bit faster. Full speed. Let's see. Yeah, that left bumper for the brake does feel good. And you can also use the left analog, I mean not analog, but the left trigger as well for the brake. But having that tactile click for the brake. That feels pretty good too. All right, so not much else that I can really test out with this game necessarily. So let's go ahead and hop over to the next games so we can check out some more features of this controller. All right, so now we're gonna check out Virtua Fighter 3. Virtua Fighter has always been one of my favorite fighting games since I was a kid. Grew up in an arcade, and we're just gonna stick with Akira. Just gonna check it out real quick. Nothing too intense. Going first-person view. I forgot you could actually do this with this game, but yeah. So right and left triggers and bumpers both change the camera. So not really anything that I can test out with the bumpers and triggers on this game, but we're gonna check out the D-pad for sure. And it seems extremely responsive. I wish I had Marvel vs. Capcom so I could really, go in and try some Hadoukens with some Ryu, you know what I mean? But so far, it does feel really nice. So the D-pad does feel pretty responsive. It doesn't feel like I'm struggling to, get a proper input from it. It doesn't feel like, pushing it in the center is going to be an issue. It does feel really nice. I do wish I had Marvel vs. Capcom or something like that, like a Street Fighter that I could pop in here, like, Third Strike. That would have been really nice to test this with. But in terms of what I'm able to check out here, it does feel really solid. Feels really responsive in terms of control input, and it doesn't, like I was saying before earlier, with the being able to push it down in the center, it doesn't really seem like it's an issue. It just seems like the spike in the center really does kind of just push you into a specific direction instead of being able to push the whole D-pad down all at once. Yep. No, don't you do it! There we go. Kicker in the shin. All right, so let's go ahead and skip over to Tony Hawk so we can get an actual really good feel for that D-pad, because that's really what's going to give me a good idea of the D-pad in terms of directional input, because that one has got to be real accurate in terms of being able to do varial kick flips and 360 flips, things like that. So let's go ahead and hop over to Tony Hawk Pro Skater. All right, while I let Chad Muska kind of bounce off of walls and everything, I will say that some of the things that I did notice while playing with this, I really, really enjoy aside comparative to the regular Dreamcast controller. So let me go ahead and do a close-up real quick. So as you can see, well, the green button is going to be greened out because we're on a green screen here, but the buttons A, B, X, and Y are closer together on the Retro Fighter controller than they are on the actual Dreamcast controller. And after messing around with the D-pad, comparing it to the original Dreamcast controller, the D-pad on this one feels so much better. It is so much nicer. It's not even funny. Also, another thing, like I was talking about before, with this, you can see it's slightly able to, let's see if I can get a better light on that. Not really. But you can see it being able to slightly wiggle. That was one of the biggest gripes that I have with this controller in general. So with the Retro Fighter controller, overall, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm really, really, really digging this controller. The ability that, sorry, not the ability, but the fact that the analog stick has this nice rubberized grip. It has a nice concave on the top of it. It does feel a lot nicer. So in all honesty, like right off the bat, this controller is probably going to be the controller that I will be playing my Dreamcast games with from now on. I wasn't able to check out a Rumble Pack with it, unfortunately, but overall, this controller is feeling really, really nice. So let's check out some Tony Hawk Pro Skater, but let's check out the D-pad while we're checking that out for sure. So super accurate with the varial kick flips. Like, I have zero issue doing a varial kickflip at all. Like, every single time goes exactly the way I need it to. Front shove, pop shove, backside kickflip, front side kickflip. Hey, there we go, baby. All right. I mean, this controller is extremely, extremely responsive. So varial heels, varial kick flips, hard flip, inward heels, everything in the diagonals is super accurate. And, you know, just like everything else, you know, the directions go exactly the way they're supposed to. It doesn't have any kind of, like, miscalculations when you're using the D-pad. Oh, but I miscalculated my jump there on the the quarter pipe there. So, yeah, man, this controller is solid. So if you're interested in getting this, it does retail for $49.99, and in my opinion, it's totally worth it. If you're a big Dreamcast fan, this controller is definitely a big improvement over the original Dreamcast controller, and I'm a very big believer in the, you know, you can't really go better than an original controller. In this case, you know, just like they did with the Nintendo 64 controller, they improved, man. They did a really good job with this, so I'm gonna have to give it to Retrofighters on this one. This one is a really, really solid controller. I am so excited to have a really nice controller to play my Dreamcast games with, because that is one of my biggest gripes with the Dreamcast, is having a controller that just feels a little jank sometimes. So, yeah. Retrofighters, you did good on this one, I'll tell you that. I can't put it down. All right, so there you guys have it. That is the overview of the Retrofighters StrikerDC controller. If this video was helpful for you, make sure to give it a like and also share it with your friends. If you want to order a Retrofighters StrikerDC, you can go to retrofighters.com and you can order it there, or you can also get your hands on one at castlemaniagames.com. Castlemania Games is a really great store. It has a lot of really good old retro stuff to get you up to speed and, you know, give you a new, fresh controller for your retro consoles. You can get some accessories, a lot of really great stuff from Castlemania Games. So make sure to check out Castlemania Games as well, alongside of retrofighters.com. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Hopefully it was some help to you, and I'll see you on the next one. See you later.